Welcome back to another video. It's been quite a few days, weeks, months since my last video. Hey, I've been busy. It has been, if any of y'all are on my main YouTube page, the Grumpy Dad, crypto page, you'll know that it has been hot and heavy, nonstop, and I'm in literally about 16 or 17 different projects right now, and looking at two or three more. A lot of stuff going on with that. I don't want to get really into detail, make this video that much longer than what it's going to be, but you can catch up over there. But it's been nonstop. A lot of wing bits stations and different things like that all around the state, from Grand Isle to up north, and about to be even in Canada. So it's been crazy. Um, I wanted to do a video to cover Louisiana Sportsman Show. If you're anywhere from around Louisiana, you know that this is one of the biggest shows that for years was in the state. And just like anything else, it seems that no matter if it's crypto, real life, ham radio, and now even sports or sportsmen's or outdoors, there's always drama. Seems to be always drama. I can tell you that I used to, my Amsoil business right here. If any of y'all are interested in any kind of synthetic oils for your four-wheelers, your boats, your lower unit oils, motorcycles, Harley Davidsons, jet skis, cars, trucks, diesel trucks, anything like that, check out Amsoil. Check out my website, cbsynthetics.com. I do, it's a good product that has been around since the 70s. I use it in everything that can take oil or anything like that. But I used to have a booth back before COVID at the Louisiana Sportsmans Show, and this thing was so big. It was in Gonzales, Louisiana, and it had to be spread out between three different buildings. There was a fishing building, a hunting building, an outdoor building, or for like general different stuff like that. Even sections for the wives to go hang out in and to look at, different crafts and stuff like that for while the husbands were looking and drooling over boats and stuff. But as usual, adults can't be adults. And at some point there was a little split, and, COVID happened, and the main guy who was in charge of Sportsman Show ended up selling it to the people who ran the Sportsman magazine. And then another guy split off and started the outdoor show. That show seems to get confused with the Sportsman Show, and it's just mad chaos. And so, I know I'm getting way off key here, but just so people can know in the future, I wanted to make sure I hit on that the Gonzales show, Jack, who is in charge of the outdoor show, has signed some type of exclusivity somehow. I'll keep my comments to myself on that. I've met him in the past, and he's doing some type of things in Mississippi also like that. But anyway, so the Louisiana Outdoor Show has been trying to find a home. They went to Baton Rouge last year. It was not really the most ideal setup. Spoke to several people who went to it. It just wasn't the feel and the look of the outdoor of the Louisiana Sportsman Show. So they now try to come to LaPlace, Louisiana, which is where I work at. And I was in charge of all the security and stuff like that for the weekend. And I thought we had a good time. We had some weather that came in Saturday, but it was a good show. We did a Friday. They even had a first responder night, so that anybody with a first responder type badge, commission, fireman, police officer, sheriff's deputy, EMT type thing, you work for EMS or something like that, you were able to get in for free. So free admission on Friday, the first responders and those in armed services. And they actually discounted tickets. I remember going to this a couple of years ago, and for me and my son, and I think my daughter came with somebody, and I was kind of taken back by how much it cost to get in. But this was at the same place that, if y'all have seen my videos in the past, that we have Don Dewey Festival. So, I'm in charge of that whole fiasco festival. And so they said, since you run that, you can run point on the Sportsman Show. And there I was. They had a food court with some different vendors there, and you couldn't decide what you wanted to eat. They had some of the best barbecue that I've tasted in a long time. People just raved over it. These chicken breast sandwiches and all kinds of stuff like that. Indoor, outdoor exhibits. And kids activity zone that have inflatables, alligators, snakes, and more. And let me tell you, the alligators end up coming out. There's a little pond right there that they were doing some demonstrations with the dogs and fishing and stuff like that. And like LaPlace, it's not a good time without a little drama. And sure enough, when the alligators showed up, not the ones in the petting zoo that they're talking about here, but the real ones, that was kind of live. And meet Jimmy Houston. And I got to meet Jimmy Houston. If y'all saw my short, I did a couple of shorts while I was out there because, while I'm working all day, I don't have time to make YouTube videos like this. I got to meet Jimmy Houston. So this is right when Jimmy is pulling up. Actually, we're just setting up for the show on Thursday, day before it starts. I was out there kind of getting everything ready for the, with our equipment. And sure enough, he pulls up asking which way to go. So, even though he was doing pictures and autographs, I couldn't wait that long. I wanted to get a picture right then and there. And I got a picture with him, and it was pretty cool. And here he is taking pictures. He had his boat out there. It was all decked out, all the stuff that he normally fishes with his truck, and taking pictures with people. And it was a cool deal. To be able to, and look, talking to this guy, man, I tell you what, he was a laughing stock. He's got some stories. It's funny, some of the stuff he comes up with. If you haven't seen, he has several different YouTube channels right now. He has, he has this big plot of land. I don't really want to call it a ranch, but I guess it's kind of a ranch, but it's in Mississippi with all kinds of stuff on it. So he has a YouTube page covering that. YouTube would cover outdoors. YouTube page covering fishing and different stuff like that. He is really, hitting it up right now. And I'm gonna tell you also, the vendors, I was kind of worried, about what kind of vendors they were going to have. Again, I found that they're kind of trying to rebuild themselves. And this is also one reason why I'm trying to help them out. Come to find out, I'm going to tell you that when I had my first meeting with the family that now runs this, I go way back with them, and I had no idea that they ran this. Growing up in New Orleans, I was friends with their family growing up, not really directly the two people that run this now, the husband and wife, but their relatives in New Orleans. And it kind of brought me back a little bit. The guy that I was friends with, he was, much older than me. My mom and dad were friends with the gentleman's, kids. And he's passed away by now, but he's related to him and with this family. And again, we just go way back, family. And I'm sure we've met back in again, I know I'm aging myself because I had to be 6, 7, 8 years old back then. So it was quite a few years ago. So that was cool too. And that's another reason why I'm helping them. I remember their family being very, very kind to us, inviting us over for holidays and stuff like that. So this is, it kind of, y'all know I'm into that kind of stuff. If y'all have ever watched my videos, families and friends and life short and that kind of stuff like that. So that's another reason why I'm helping them out, kind of explaining what's going on. But I knew that this was going to be kind of a rebuilding period for them. They're hoping that they can make LaPlace and the Civic Center where we had this at kind of a permanent home. We'll see what they're able to work out. But I was worried about what I was getting at is I was worried about what kind of vendors they were going to have, because as a former vendor, I know what it costs to do this. It used to be like $800 a booth. They dropped it a little bit so that they could get some of these vendors back. And I'm going to tell you, I was quite pleased with the vendors. I'm not going to sit and tell you that they were all 100% all outdoors or hunting or fishing. But when we had our first meeting, maybe over a month ago, they already had all the vendor spots sold out, which is really unheard of for these type of things. So I think the fact that Baton Rouge was a little far for this North Shore and New Orleans type group, or fans or crowd, whatever you want to call it, coming back this close, right off the interstate. If y'all are familiar with this area, this show is in LaPlace, which is, it was actually right about here on Highway 51, US Highway 51. So you have I-10 right here that's coming out of New Orleans, You have I-55. That's a straight, easy shot from I-12 coming from the North Shore. And you can still draw from the Baton Rouge area. So it is kind of an ideal location closer to New Orleans for those people to be able to start coming back in. And I think the vendors kind of knew that. So you had some of these vendors that were in here, that came in here. Apocalypse Sports, if any of y'all familiar with them, if y'all local watching this, some very, very good gun sales. I have some pictures of stuff that they were showing off. And, some very gorgeous guns. And they were selling because these guys are priced right. They had some very good priced guns. And one of the more popular guns was this gun right here from, I forget what brand name it was, but it was quite popular. You can see the image on the side of it, despite how you want to feel about it. I think it's just a cool image that you would get that on a gun, no matter, who the president was. But I thought that was pretty cool that they had that. And that wasn't it. I mean, they had several guns, and even behind me where I take this picture at is all handguns. They had them kind of off to this separate type of room. I didn't know how that was going to work out, but this is the beginning of the show. But the rest of the show, this room was packed. And you don't really get to see that too much on these outdoor shows, of people actually selling firearms like this. And because of the way they had this locking system that was in here, or electronic alarms, and people couldn't really take anything without them knowing, this actually ended up being very successful for them. And I was happy that they were able to do something. So you also had here, you had Ascension Equipment Rental, and they brought some toys with them. I think that was pretty cool. And this stuff is going to be used at hunting camps, if y'all familiar with that, hunt leases and stuff like that. So this was pretty cool. So, they brought their toys with them. This was the barbecue that I was telling y'all about. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't eat a lot of this because as you get older, you start having these issues. And if I eat a lot of this barbecue sauce and this stuff, and I'm out there in that sun after working, it's not going to be anything nice for me. My body does not react well. If I'm inside the air conditioning, I would have tore this up all day. This was great. I don't know exactly where they're out of. And looking at this dude's Facebook post, I'm getting hungry again. I've even seen that they do some stuff with 7.3 Distilling. If y'all know that, Bywater bourbon with 7.3 Distilling is one of my favorite bourbons right now. So, but this guy, when I tell you, from the beginning to the end of the show, he had a line of people for his barbecue. Here he is right here with 7.3 Distilling, but he did very, very, very well, and people were very impressed by that cooking. So we also had Blackwell Outdoors that had a bunch of these golf carts, some of these kind of also off-road type golf carts also. BPD Marine Customs, Boat Stuff. Now, Boat Stuff just had it lined up, and that's where my depressing state came from. They lined up these boats, and what they want for these boats these days, now, don't get me wrong, they're blue water boats. They're gorgeous boats, but it's just crazy what they want for boats these days. You got this blue water boat right here. I love the canopy top. I always wanted one like this. And this one got double, I think this was double 200s on the back, and you're looking at $240,000 right here. $240,000, almost $250,000 for this boat. Years ago, it wouldn't have cost this much. But that's just what the market's demanding right now. And if you saw my Twitter X, again, if y'all follow me on Twitter X, you saw my post where I said, I've always, everybody in crypto jokes that, one day I'm gonna get a Lambo. And I always joke that I'm too fat to fit in Lambos, but I will have a boat like this. And looking at these boats, I'm thinking I might be cheaper getting a Lambo. It's crazy what they want for some of these boats these days. They also had kind of the more shallow running boats, redfish ponds, and that kind of really shallow drafting ponds. But, years ago when I was looking at boats, you didn't see a lot of these canopies. I love these canopies. I've always wanted one. You would have to buy a boat and then get this added to it. So I kind of like that. But these 4-stroke engines are not cheap, but way better on maintenance compared to, if you're not familiar with them, compared to what the older outboards used to be. But that's why you're paying what you're paying now. So yeah, these boats were just lined up, and A lot of people looking at them. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't know what the sales ended up being for those or anything like that, but I think they did very well when I saw. Bourgeois Meat Market is a local place out here with some great jerky. I bought 3 bags of it. There was a deal for 3 bags for $20. Normally, it's like normally like $9 a piece when you go to the store. When I go down to meetings that are in Thibodeau, some of the best jerky around. I call them meat sticks because they're not really jerky like I'm familiar with. But they were very, very successful. They had a line all the time also. So what else we have? So Sea Webs, Captain Roy's marine training for those who want to drive boats professionally. Circle Bar Ranch, talked to this guy for a while also. So, Deerview windows, duck totes, Dynalik. So let's talk about Dynalik. So Dynalik is something that I have been hearing a lot about lately. I have been following at if y'all saw in my videos with my hunting lease that I'm in now, I got 1 year underneath me. I picked out a place for a personal stand. And with the personal stand, we can start doing our own type feeding. And I'm planning on doing off-season feeding starting probably next, I ain't gonna say a week, probably next 2-3 weeks, going down there, start feeding protein and also minerals and stuff like that. So with that, I have joined several Facebook groups trying to hear out what's some of the best things that's going on. There have been people who have been raving about Dynalik. Now, one thing I want to say about this is, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, about another group that I became very close with during this show. But social media, if you're selling this type of stuff, can either be a blessing or a curse to you. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. I heard about Dynalik, and I didn't know they were going to be there, and he got excited, and I was very excited when I actually got to talk to the guy who invented it. And, he had 3 flavors there. He started with peanut butter and eventually then went to wild cherry. And a lot of people asked for persimmon. Persimmon seems to be a very favorite choice for deer, love it or hate it, but most of them love it. So he came out with this persimmon flavored also. If you go to his website, you can see all about it. What's funny is, again, I have seen people on these different Facebook groups, different people from different parts of different states and stuff like that who swear by it. That's how I knew about it. That's how I heard about it. I posted something on my Facebook saying, hey, I got hooked up with Dynalik just to try to help this guy out. To be honest with you, I bought a bag. He gave me a bag also. And he had a very good deal going on towards the end of the show because he didn't want to carry some of this stuff back because the parking lots got wet where they were parking at. He was worried about his trailer being too heavy, whatever. But as I posted off in my Facebook, I had some friends who said, oh, you should call me first. Or, hey, I tried it. It didn't work. And that's the bad thing about Facebook. What I've learned also is when I belonged to a previous hunting lease was that, I had a friend at work who his deer, if you put rice bran down, it was like they were drawing a line of cocaine and them deer would go down that line of cocaine like they had a razor blade, like they were doing cocaine. I go to my lease, which was, a couple of miles away from his, and I would put rice bran out and them deer would not touch it. It would just go moldy, and you could go 3-4 weeks later if it didn't rain too much, and that stuff was still there, and they didn't touch it. So just because some deer here don't like this, some deer over here might like it, and vice versa. And that's the good and the bad with social media with some of these products like this. I'm going to try it out. I've seen enough video footage on this guy's videos and on these different Facebook groups where people like it. The thing about Dynalik is you pour it into some kind of water in a hole with some water in it. You bring some water with you, 3, 4, 5 gallons of water, and it becomes more like it's actually 2 separate bags that you're going to mix together and becomes like this crystal. And in the crystal, this guy's showing you like how deep they're digging a hole and all this stuff like that. But with it being a crystal like this, supposedly it's more palatable to the deer. It's more of attracting to the deer and that kind of stuff like that. Look, the price wasn't bad. I think it was $20 and I ended up with like 3 or 4 bags of it by the end of the show. All 3 different flavors. I'll try anything once. I've tried a lot of gimmicky deer hunting stuff in my many, many years of hunting. I've been hunting for 30 years now. I've tried some gimmicky stuff I'll never try again, and I've tried some stuff that I will try again. Between incense and deer scents and smoking scents and vapors and everything else, you name it. I have no problem throwing this stuff out. Even my friends I contacted, one said it didn't do anything at all. One guy said, yeah, they were hitting it at first and then just left it alone after that. So it was somewhat, I guess, successful. I'll try anything once. So that's Dynalik, and stay tuned for more videos of it. I'm going to do some videos when I'm putting it out, and I'll cover it for the guy and see what he does. Again, I paid for the first bag, so it's not like I got it all for free. And I'll try it out and see what happens. So going through some of these vendors, this KU, if any of y'all never heard of this KU clothing, I didn't. My son had to give me a thing. Basically, KU is some kind of foreign word for just as expensive as sick glue. It's supposed to be just as good. If y'all have never heard this before, line cutters. And I guess it's this cutter ring that you can wear on your finger. I've heard many people talk about it. You can also put on your vest or anything like that. And it helps you cut line. If y'all know anything about some of these new monofilaments and these braids, it's not easy to cut. So it's about as easy as that. What these people have said was, this show right here broke all their records. They've been doing this for a while. And this show, they did better with this show than any other show so far. So, hey, hats off to him. I'm glad he did well. I figured I'd give him a little shout out too. Longtime Ranch in Quinlan. This is something I would love to do. I'll talk to these guys for a while. Something I'm looking into, maybe when crypto hits, because none of these hunts are cheap. Of course, Louisiana Sportsmans there. Mike Seasonings. And let's see, keep going. Old Timers Lord had some great deals. These guys were selling rods and reels like it was going out of style. They had some discounts. Shimano and some of these other ones sent them reels strictly for shows and on great discounts. And the first day they were almost selling out of rods. They had to go all the way back to get some more. Quantum Rack. We're going to see and talk about Quantum Rack for a minute. Y'all know I like supporting the new people. Y'all know I like supporting small business and people starting out. This is so new. It is just hitting, and they're just working on distributors. A couple places out so far that have them where you can get it at. But I sat here and talked to these guys for a long time. I'm probably going to do some shorts just to cover them so I can try to get them a little bit of marketing. I tried to, I'm just, y'all know I'm straight with y'all. If y'all have seen any of my crypto videos, I don't like to lie to y'all at all. I talked to these guys. I had full intention of paying for their product. I waited to the last day because I didn't feel like carrying it around, put it in my truck and that kind of stuff like that. I'm lazy. And so they have a newer product called Ultra, which is supposed to be even better than the 365. And I went on the last day, grabbed their last bag of Ultra. Actually, it was going to sell out on Saturday, and I told them to hold it for me, tell people it's sold. I want their bag of Ultra. And I attempted to pay for it. They're like, look, you have cash? I didn't have cash on me. I don't keep cash. My family and kids can smell cash in my wallet, and it walks. So I tried doing Venmo with them and stuff like that. They didn't have it really set up. They were starting to pack stuff away, and they're like, look, we got your number. Maybe we'll call you for payment. Maybe we won't. I'm just straight up honest with y'all. I was buying it anyway. $25, $26 a bag. Again, I'll try anything once, but listening to these guys are passionate. They're out of Louisiana. And they sound like they have a good product. When you hear what they're talking about and how much formulation they took for them to get what they, and they have this full bio right here and stuff like that. Call me intrigued. I'll try anything once, but these you can talk to these guys and tell they know what they're doing. It's a detractant on top of the trace minerals. It was hard to decide which one I wanted. So, this one product that they have called this Infinity smells amazing. I wanted to start eating it out the bag. It's crazy. So, It's got roasted soybeans. They sat here and explained to me why roasted soybean is better than the regular soybean meal, because once it's roasted, it kind of changes the whole chemical composure of it, including being more of an attractant. And some people are not putting roasted soybean in there. And look, I'm sure I'm not explaining it correctly all the way, but they had their product out displaying it, and I couldn't wait to get a hold of this. I can't wait to put this out, to try it out. This is my bag right here that I got. Again, it has the Ultra marked on it, and again, I can't wait to try this out and see what it does. And look, I'm not expecting that I'm gonna give this to my deer this year, and it's gonna be steroids and they're gonna grow. I've talked to a ranch in Texas who really stepped up about 3 or 4 years ago in off season. They went from just mineral licks and that kind of stuff like that to full protein feed. And they're now seeing what they haven't seen in years between the health, just even doe health, fawn health, and antler growth, the size of their bucks. It took a generation or two of breeding, but once they started hitting this protein hard like this in the off season, it made a difference. Now, again, I'm on a hunting lease, thousands of acres. Me by myself ain't going to do it. Talking to some other guys that in the lease, I know they're going to start trying to do more protein also. I'm sure not everybody is. And I'm not expecting great things, but hey, I look at it as I'm helping the herd out in that area. And if they really use this more of an attractant, and I can get them used to coming in year round to my feeders, that's going to help me in the off season. Look, there's a reason why I'm honest with y'all. There's a reason why y'all didn't see any hunting videos from last hunting season. I didn't kill anything this hunting season. Of course, I'm not going to sit and tell you I'm not discouraged, because who wouldn't be? But if you caught any of my shorts or anything like that, I had some gorgeous deer. I had deer on this lease that one or two that rivaled what I saw in Texas and Missouri. So but they're all at night. All at night. Of course, all day during the day when nobody's around. Some of us have to work still. But that hunting lease killed 30 plus deer that last year. And again, it's got thousands of acres, and it's all broken up into separate sections. So, my section where I hunted in didn't have as many deer killed. So them deer are still there. All them deer I got on camera are still there. So if I can get these deer between Dynalik, I even bought just a basic also mineral rock, whatever it's called. I'm putting that out. I got a trough feeder that somebody gave me. So it's a full trough feeder off the ground with a roof on top of it and stuff like that to keep some of the stuff dry. It's got 3 different sections in it. So I'm going to put some of this quantum rack in one. I got some other type of stuff for, in different sections. I can see which one works the most, which one keeps them coming back, and we'll see what happens. These guys told me that these deer you see here are deer that have been feeding in the past while they were formulating this stuff. So even though they're from 2023 and stuff, those deer were feeding off of the quantum rack, or what they were formulating as the quantum rack, and these deer have all been killed. Of course, it also probably helps that you have a good stock to begin with, but quantum-rack.com is their website if any of y'all want to go look into that. Ragged Branch Distillery. Unfortunately, I couldn't try any of this. I was working. I would like to try to get 7-3 Distillery. Talking to those guys. I'm going to see if I can get them at this show for next year, since they had something like this. I think 7-3 Distillery would do very, very well. Real Cajun Market. Me and this guy joked around a lot. He's from Georgia. And I said, brother, and I'll be honest with you, his sales weren't the best, but he did move some sausage. He had all kinds of different sausages out there. And they were good. I'm not going to lie and say they weren't good. And I'm like, well, you're in Georgia, man. You got a fleur-de-lis on your emblem. How in the hell are you Cajun? And he said, we're all from Lafayette, which is dead set home quarters, basically, of Cajun country. He says, we just moved to Georgia, but all of our cooks are from Lafayette. Everybody who's come up with the recipes for Lafayette, we're just distributing out of Georgia. I can kind of understand that. I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with y'all. I'm eating jambalaya right now that I made, and the sausage in it as I speak. I'm trying to get on picture. The sausage in it that, without making a mess, this sausage is from Real Cajun Market. I bought a bag of Cajun sausage from. It's excellent. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's expensive. $16 for a pound of sausage is a little high, but the the bacon and brown sugar was awesome. It's a little sweet, depending on what kind of recipe you put that in. His boudin sausage, he sold out the first day. That is amazing, because LaPlace is known for its andouille sausage. LaPlace is the andouille sausage capital of the world. That's why we have an andouille sausage festival. But their boudin, this dude's boudin sold out again, and in the first couple of hours of the first day. That is amazing. So I don't know how he's gonna sit here and talk about he wasn't happy with the sales. My son liked the bourbon and honey smoked sausage the best. I have the Cajun that I'm using right now, and I'm telling you right now, I will get a Cajun. I think this is gonna be amazing in a gumbo, and I'm planning on buying some of this for a gumbo. If y'all interested in that, realcajunmarket.com. Check him out. So another vendor was this Riverside Driftwood. This guy is local from that area, LaPlace, and he does some crazy art on this driftwood, and he appeared to do very well. So, some good art. And this is one of my guys I work with at the sheriff's office, and it's a bonfire, which is really, really big out here. And I'm telling you right now, he bought this on the first day. If he wasn't buying this, I was buying this. We're real big into bonfires. If y'all have seen any of my videos around Christmas or New Year's, so I would have picked this up if he didn't. So, you got pictures of him on his Facebook going behind a levee and picking up different pieces of wood, driftwood, and stuff like that. But he had some amazing work. I have to give it to him. Rodney Lewis Art had some good work also. So, Cito was there. Shell was a big sponsor. Soggy Bottom Boys Outfitters had a pretty good showing also. St. John Firefighter Association raffled off a shotgun. I don't know who won that one. Sunshine Equipment also had some equipment out there. And also, there's another one. Pigskin Boys. These TMG Blondes showed one that got picked up in a tornado and thrown like 200 yards against the house. The windows were broken, the door had a little bit of damage, and it cost like $200 to fix it, and it was back up and running, which being picked up by a tornado is pretty amazing. So if that's not a testament, I don't know what it is. So Walker Metal Buildings was there. They do some great work. My neighbor actually had some stuff done for them. That's when my crypto hits, that's gonna be another thing I get done. And that was pretty much it. I got some more pictures. These big Sherp swamp buggy things where the tires inflate and deflate on command, and actually somehow the exhaust from these devices or these buggies is routed through the tires. So therefore, they're always will be inflated, even if they puncture something when you're going through the swamp, and completely covered it. Those are pretty cool. They had stuff for the kids to do. They had inflatables. Back here, if you could see, they had this pond. That's where the little fishing thing they had for the kids, and some retriever demonstrations and stuff like that. If you saw the logo, Sunshine Equipment was there also. They had their equipment, John Deere equipment and stuff like that out there, which, you can be using this stuff at hunting leases and things like that. Sheriff's office was out there with their tour. This thing is way bigger than what this picture makes it look. 28, 29 feet, maybe something like that. Twin 350s on the back. This was with a grant from safe boats. And the cool thing about this is you can be doing 50 or 60 miles an hour and cut it as hard as you can, do a U-turn, and it will not flip. It's got, chairs back here for the deputies to sit, pilots and stuff like that. A couple of radios up there. That's how I'm familiar with it. There's some of the radio stuff in here, but it's pretty bad. You know what? It's awesome. Let's look at it from the back with the triple 350 Verados on the back. I don't even want to know what those cost. Just a picture of the inside. If you saw my post from this, they had with Shell being a sponsor, they had one of their NASCARs in there. This is a vehicle that actually was on a track back in 2021. Was on 2 or 3 different tracks. Joey Lagarbo raced it, and there was somebody else who raced it. And actually, it got wrecked and lapped. They told me the whole story. I'm not a big NASCAR person, but lap so and so of so and so thing. And once it got repaired, there was a couple of changes NASCAR made, so they just use this now as kind of a show vehicle now. But this was a real NASCAR that was in there, so that was cool. Some more pictures of it. This guy right here was selling where you can coat your rifle. If you want to do any kind of refinish, I forget exactly what they call it. You could see the lot of shirts, hats, hunting clothes, and stuff like that was here. Bourgeois Meat Market that had that awesome jerky or meat sticks I was telling you about. And then even in the main entrance was down here. This is the whole hallway outside. And I mean, they had vendors even stacked up out here. This guy had some cool shirts. There was one that caught my attention. For some reason, my wife didn't think this was as funny as I did. And, the couch isn't as comfortable as I thought it would be to sleep on. But he had, some cool shirts like this. This was just to show y'all the short I made so that you could see kind of a couple of different angles of what they had going on there. Again, this was a cool show. I can't wait for it to come back. This was right at the beginning, first day when they were still kind of setting everything up. We were actually, I think this was even maybe Thursday. Just trying to draw some attention to help them out and get some people out there. A lot of parking, not too far away from the venue, and yeah, plenty votes. It was a cool time. Weather was good, other than Saturday it downpoured, but they were calling for they were calling for 5 inches of rain at one point, and luckily we didn't get all that. It got a little sloppy with the parking on, the third or Sunday morning because of some rain on Saturday. I think we might have pulled 2 people out. It was about it, but it was a cool time. Louisiana Sportsmans Show does have their own Facebook page if you want to keep up with it to see where they're going to be, or when they're going to be next year. I'm hoping they're trying to work out now to get this location back. They do have this magazine for those who aren't familiar with it. It's pretty good. I've been an on and off subscriber for 25, 30 years probably. So, you know how it is. You get a 2-year subscription because you get a deal and it comes in and you read it. And then all of a sudden you realize 3 or 4 months later that, wait, I didn't get a magazine. Then you go and you renew it, and the same thing kind of happens. But that's about it. So I just wanted to cover it for everybody, just to they can kind of see what they had there. I'm sure some people were interested. And my biggest thing was just to try to get through to people that are from around here that there's only one Louisiana Sportsman Show. I heard from people that said, oh, man, the Sportsman Show is not in LaPlace. I went to the Sportsman Show 2 weeks ago in Gonzales. No, that was the outdoor show. And look, I'll be honest, depending on who you talk to, I talked to vendors out there. You had some vendors that said they did great. And you had some vendors that said, even though it was a bigger place, they didn't do as good as they did this weekend. So it's very hit and miss. There's no reason not to go to both of them. There's nothing saying you can't go to both of them. I would tell you, though, that if I was still doing boots for my Amsoil business right here, I would definitely go back to Louisiana Sportsman. I can't do both. And working the event all weekend pays a little bit better than me doing that booth, paying to be there. So yeah, that's what it is. That's how times are these days. But look, that's the Louisiana Sportsman Show. Hopefully next year, when we get the dates narrowed down, I'll start advertising it here, and we'll let you know. I'll let you know, and I'll do some videos on how Dynalik does, how the protein does, and some other stuff that I'm getting that I'm gonna try out at my lease on my personal stand. I got a little book right here for quantum rack, so I can see exactly, what, keep up with those guys and stuff like that. But they got my own personal number. I got their personal number now. We're going back and forth. And I know they made contact with several of the ranchers out there to start doing bulk feeding of protein. And I think that says a lot of, when those places saw what they're putting, what these people are in. I got to be honest with you, if you can't tell, of all the people I talked to there, and I was there all weekend, of all the people I talked to there, I'm more hyped up about this than anything else. Listening to them talk about the stuff and the ingredients they're putting in here, and the fact that they're bulk feeding some of these bigger ranches like this, I think it says a lot. And we'll see. Nobody around here in my area is selling this yet, but they are selling it up there towards where my hunting lease is. So I would have to pick some up on the way there once I get through this bag I have now. So I'm pretty hyped up about that. But I'll keep you all up to date on that. I'll keep you up to date on the Sportsman Show for next year. And it is April 1st right now. April Fool's Day, but everything in here was straight to truth. Hopefully, we'll start doing some fishing videos soon. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I am backed up on crypto projects. I just told my wife that probably next week, now this is starting to calm down, I got one project I got to finish. We're doing a tower climb this weekend. And once that's done, I'm probably gonna take 2 or 3 days off vacation. I have not had a vacation day since hunting season, which was beginning of January. I haven't had a day off in probably, I don't lie to y'all, I'm sorry, I lied. I had one day off when I did that video on, if y'all saw my crypto video, when I went down to Grand Isle to work on something, but that was even still kind of work related, bringing some radios down there and doing some radio stuff for Grand Isle Fire Department. So, and that was on a Saturday. I haven't had a day off in probably almost 2 months. I'm worn out, and I'm gonna take 2 or 3 days vacation, and I'm going fishing. My son and I want to go down to Grand Isle, but I'm also just to catch up on a bunch of this crypto stuff I got going on. So hopefully we'll start bringing you some fishing videos and working on the hunting stuff and everything. And hopefully this hunting season coming up, we will be successful in tag a deer. Going back to Missouri again, we'll be doing that too. But thank y'all for watching. Those video went long, but I wanted to just share all that with y'all. It's been a while since I did a video, try to catch y'all up. So we're gonna have a lot more stuff coming up this season on this channel, and I'll try to keep it somewhat updated regularly. Thank you all for watching. See you all in the next video, whenever that may be.